Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Three Doshas Basics of Living guest speaker event. I'm Sachin Sayal. I'm the co-founder and CEO of Three Doshas, and I'm super excited to have you guys here today. And if you're watching on YouTube, thank you for clicking on this video. Let's go to the next slide. So, what is Three Doshas? What do we do? Three Doshas is an award-winning lifestyle coaching company, transforming lives through Three Doshas energies from yoga and Ayurveda. Um, I'm sure most of you guys are familiar with what yoga is, but Ayurveda is also a fascinating life science, which is pretty ancient from over 5,000 years ago from the Indus Valley civilization. Our mission is that we empower our users by identifying and aligning their unique three doshas energies. So yeah, that's what it is. Three doshas are three energies. We're going to get into that later. We elevate our users to their full potential with three doshas alignment tools and techniques. Now, something new and exciting is that if you go to our about page on our website, you can get your personalized three doshas blueprint and you can start your transformation journey today. You just click on get started. Now, a little bit of our accomplishments. We've been seen and featured on 2 Minute Drill, which we were selected as an international finalist on a Bloomberg and Apple TV business pitch competition show. Thousands of companies applied and we made it. And on top of that, we also won the prestigious $1,000 Junior Achievement Worldwide Impact Award. We were also invited to speak at San Jose State University. So we've done a couple of talks there. And then we were interviewed on air on the largest South Asian radio station. If you want to contact us, our info is info.3doshas@gmail.com right here. And you can call that number if you have any questions. All right, now with that being said, Siri, how are you doing?
I'm doing really well. Thank you, Sachin.
Of course. Do you want to just talk a little bit about what you're going to be doing today and you can start sharing your screen with everyone?
Yes, absolutely. Hi everyone. I'm Siri, founder of Prana Squared here in Sydney, Australia. And I'm going to be discussing a few health hacks that you can implement into your life to regain balance and to kind of connect ourselves with everything around us, externally and internally as well. Um, I'll get into sharing my screen.
And during the presentation, if you guys can just ask your questions in the chat and then we can answer it after the presentation is done.
Okay. Can everyone see my screen okay? Perfect. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining. Thank you for this amazing opportunity through doshas. Lovely team that, I feel like we've connected over oceans for a reason to spread the mission and the love of Ayurveda across the world. Good morning to everyone who's in Sydney. Good afternoon, evening to everyone else in the world. I wanted to share a few things. So imagine if we were, we had the keys to future well-being and they're waiting to be discovered, right? And they're actually existing within us. And today we're going to be discussing a blend of how science and age-old wisdom come together to redefine our approach to health. And it's not just for like teens and the audience that's at school, because I know a lot of the followers of Three Dosha are, but it's for everyone. It's essentially to connect back to this ancient science. It is known as the science-backed health powerhouse. It really is, because it's not just some old world concept. It's rooted over 5,000 years ago, and it is the science of life. And it's more relevant to us now than ever. And why? Because science is actually increasingly proving what Ayurveda has known for years. We are deeply connected to everything. So everything around us, when we look at ourselves, we in turn influence the world in so many profound ways. So with the energy today, our passion, the potential, everyone wants to have a part in changing the world. And we really can. Your body is constantly changing. The world is expanding. Take AI, for instance. Look at how technology is expanding. and did you know, like Ayurveda actually offers a guide to understanding not just our own unique biology, but actually connect to everything around us, everything that intrinsically is changing and expanding in the universe. On a micro level, that could mean even like secrets to clearer skin, better concentration, improved mood. These are all tied to the science as well. So, we're going to be talking about that as well. So, how empowering would it actually be to know that understanding and nurturing ourselves can have a ripple positive effect on the communities and beyond? So today we're going to discover your unique, energy blueprint and a few health hacks that can really shape and transform and level up your personal well-being, but also become a catalyst for change and global transformation. So I wanted to start with a bit of interaction. So I have a question for everyone here today. So on a scale of 1 to 10, I would love to hear like how well do you think you know yourself? Just, you can think about it for a moment, but I just want to hear like on a scale of 1 to 10, or you can drop your answers in the chat. Yeah, like how well do you guys know yourself? I'm going to ask Sachin. Sorry to pick on you, Sachin, but like, um, how well do you think you know yourself?
I put it 8. I don't think everybody knows themselves completely. I think at
Yeah.
times we think that we know ourselves if we're just doing really well, having a lot of achievements, and we're like, yeah, I know who I am. But then I think as you get older and as you learn more things, it might change a little bit. But I'd love to hear from Ethan, who put 10.
Mm.
That's pretty incredible.
No, that was a joke. I don't
Oh,
think anyone actually knows themselves that well. I'd actually say like more like 8, like you said. Like I know myself like well enough, but not completely well.
got it.
Yeah,
Thanks for sharing.
understandably. Thank you. I'm seeing, yeah, a lot of eights. That's fantastic. Have a really good group above fives. Seven, um, Akshaj, 5. That's amazing. I was very much like this. Like I would say even like a 2 or 3 before I stemmed into the world of Ayurveda. And this ancient science, it's a medicine and holistic well-being system that actually emphasizes total wellness. And with that, we actually need to understand our own self. But this goes beyond just our physical body and mind. It actually is understanding what the Sanskrit term is called prakriti. Prakriti is your natural constitution. So it's the gifts that Mother Nature or the universe or God has given you. So it can actually provide you profound insights into your physical health, emotional tendencies, and even your mental capabilities. So I'm going to ask another question. So have you ever felt a connection with someone or something without any clear explanation? So the options are A, often, B, sometimes, C, rarely, or D, never. You can type in the chat as well if you like. Great. So sometimes, often. Thank you, Padma. Thank you, Christy. Okay, amazing. Right. So yeah, so sometimes, yeah. And it's interesting to see why that happens. Sorry, I've just gone over to a slide. It's interesting to see why that happens because it's beyond explanation sometimes. And your responses lead us to a fascinating concept. It's called collective consciousness. So, the idea that all of our minds are part of a larger, unified field of consciousness. Ayurveda has actually long emphasized the interconnectedness of all life. We're actually connected to everything beyond us. When we heal, we understand ourselves and we nurture ourselves. It's not just aiding our individual selves, but positively influencing this vast collective. And what's more intriguing is that modern science is actually catching up to this phenomenon. So if you've studied quantum physics or you know of quantum physics, it actually echoes these ancient ideas. So take the phenomenon of something called entanglement. Entanglement in quantum mechanics, where particles once intertwined, they remain connected. So the state of one can immediately influence another. And even if they're galaxies apart, like this, they stay connected. And that's kind of like what collective consciousness looks like. So, so it's really important to look at our personal wellness, because that can actually, that self-awareness can lead us to a unique place, a purpose within the world. So, you know, today's life is all about, you know, especially as things are becoming evolving, we're part of this global family. We're all looking for our place in the world, our purpose in the world. And that's so important, you know, for the teens that are trying to navigate at the moment, to try and figure out, you know, what are their strengths, what are their weaknesses. And also it's important for those that are beyond that level. So adults that are just constantly like running the race of life. It's important to recognize and stop and think for a moment where you actually fit into the bigger picture of things. So I want to introduce this concept of the second brain. You may be familiar with this already, but I just wanted to touch on, you know, the phrase. We often say, trust your gut, right? It's a common phrase. And there's an age-old saying in Ayurveda about, you know, the Agni and digestive fire. So I want to touch on like, how does this connect to each other? But first, before we do that, look, I just want to talk about the gut microbiome. So this is a complex ecosystem in our digestive tract, home to trillions of microorganisms, including bacteria, viruses, and fungi. These aren't just passive residents, but they play an essential role in your health, affecting everything from digestion to immune function. And research has shown that gut microbiome is actually essential for nutrient absorption, to protect us against pathogens, and even producing vitamins. Now, going back to Ayurveda, so digestive fire, Agni. Ayurveda speaks of this. It's not just about digesting food. Agni is actually responsible for digesting experiences, emotions, and information. A strong Agni can lead to optimal health, whereas a weak Agni can actually lead to accumulation of toxins. This, you know, Sanskrit word for that is ama. And the more ama you accumulate, and the more it goes down into your cellular level, it's actually detrimental to your well-being, and that's how diseases form. So this is all about preventative health. So by recognizing the little nuances, little, you know, things like gut microbiome, you know, getting that tested, you know, seeing a holistic practitioner to get on top of that is very important before it leads to that kind of level where it gets too deep and too far and it's hard to treat. The gut brain connection is a modern science concept as well. And our gut and brain are intimately connected. And they have a significant impact on our mental well-being, right? So if you've ever heard of the saying, ever felt like butterflies in your stomach, you know, people say that when they're about to deliver speech, or a gut-wrenching experiences, all right? Like, you know, I knew I trust my gut. These are all expressions, but they actually, the gut produces these many neurotransmitters, including serotonin, and that's a key mood regulator. So these are all situated in our gut, our second brain. And if you've experienced mood fluctuations, anxiety, even depression, that's linked to that as well. So I wanted to ask a question. How many of you have felt a change in mood or have felt some kind of mental clarity after eating a meal? Like, say, you had a burger at McDonald's, or you had some Taco Bell or KFC. It's like fried chicken in Australia. Like, how did you feel after you've had a meal like that? Did you feel good? Like, did you have digestive issues? I'd just love to hear some thoughts. Yeah, didn't feel good. Sachin, can you expand on that one? Low energy, Ethan. Yeah. Yeah, it doesn't make you feel good, does it? Yeah. Tired, Sujay, thank you. Sleepy, heavy, low energy, thank you, Sumit. Sleepy, thank you, Nitu. Guilty, yeah, totally. Heavy, thank you, Amit. Yeah, so these are all the feelings of feeling lethargic, not feeling great after having a meal like that, because we know it's not right for us. And unfortunately, with the trend of fast food, it's so readily available that we think we're filling our stomachs and satiating our hunger, but actually it's doing a lot of damage inside. Um, and there is a thing called gut microbiome testing, right, that I touched on earlier. So you can actually get this tested, and you can see like scientifically how this is being affected. So if you don't connect with some of the natural, traditional practice explanations, you can actually like physically see this for those that love science and seeing things in action. So you could speak to a medical practitioner, a doctor, about getting that done at some point if you're interested. Um, so I just wanted to go back to like kind of talking about Ayurveda. I know we're all aware of Ayurveda. Three doshas is built on those beautiful foundations. But what do those words actually mean? So Ayurveda is a Sanskrit term to mean science of life. So Ayu means life and Veda means knowledge. So it's life knowledge, and it's not just about treating these diseases. It's a comprehensive guide to leading a harmonious life. So historically, these teachings were passed by saints and masters, and they found their way into like sacred texts, and that's how the word of Ayurveda spread. But now it's become central to the global world, especially post COVID. We're seeing, I'm seeing a lot of Ayurveda pop up everywhere. Especially in my hometown as well. It's a principle of balance. And there's one key principle in Ayurveda that is central to everything. And that is the maintaining equilibrium in the body with the three doshas, otherwise known as constitutions, temperaments, bioenergies. They're essentially key to maintaining equilibrium and good health. So the three doshas are Vata, Pitta, and Kapha. So the doshas represent combinations of 5 elemental energies: earth, water, fire, and ether, so space. And it's not just this balance of energies within us, but it's actually relative to everything around us. So the environment, and how we spoke about collective consciousness earlier, right? Like, as those elements are in everything within us, they're the atoms like that are in everything. So those energies are everywhere. And you might be thinking, like, that's a really strange concept, like how you can't visually see that. Like, how does that fit into the modern world? Well, with the rise of chronic illnesses, mental health issues, people are actually searching for answers. They're searching for different approaches to health and well-being. And I'm seeing that personally with a lot of my clients. I even see doctors as clients. And the reason is because, we don't have the answers to everything. Science has now figured out, and we're really grateful to all the advancements in medical science today. But we're trying to emphasize prevention, balance, aligning with nature. And this is something that a lot of people are seeking, an alternative to complement modern medicine. So that's where we have this global audience now across continents, like we are today. We're here today across oceans, seeking these Ayurvedic treatments and adopting its dietary guidelines and integrating the wellness practices into our daily lives. So before we move on, in one word or phrase, could you let me know what you think of balance? What does that mean to you? It could be a feeling, an activity, or even a food item. Thank you, Sumit. So you can take a minute there. Yeah, live, Christy, thank you. So it means harmony with nature. Yeah, absolutely. Anyone else? What does balance mean to you? Yeah. Life stability. That's really, yeah, definitely. Not being overwhelmed. Yeah, 100%. And, Ayurveda invites us to discover our intrinsic nature and align ourselves to maintain that rhythm. Yeah, and not being in control. Yeah, absolutely. Not being overwhelmed and having to feel you're in control of everything. So let's find out what those rhythms are and how we can connect to them. One important matter is the choices we make. So I just wanted to touch on this before we get into what those doshas are and get into those life hacks. So the choices we make really uh, affect our decision making, our food, media, relationships, all of these. We have a myriad of choices every day. We're presented with choices from the foods we eat to the media we expose ourselves to the company we keep. Each of these influences can result in these energies that I've explained in Ayurveda. And these can also be influenced by another concept in Ayurveda known as, different modes of operation. So some of these can be balancing and pure. In Sanskrit, that means like sattva. They can create passion and activity, and Sanskrit, that is rajas. Or some choices can actually lead us to more inertia and darkness. And I read earlier that a lot of you were saying, when you had Macca's or McDonald's, we call it Macca's in Australia, you feel really, lethargic and weak and heavy. And that's because the mode of that food is actually initiating this feeling that we have inside. So it's really important to consider how nutritious meals can leave you feeling harmonious, while like excessive spicy or fried foods might actually rouse feelings of agitation. So emotionally, they can affect you. Overly heavy meals can induce lethargy. And similarly, certain media, social media, can actually inspire and uplift, while some may agitate, while others can actually lead you to feelings of dullness, depression, and negativity. So it's really important to consider these modes of operation, so the sattva, rajas, and tamas, because they aren't just absorbing these concepts, you're actually mentally and physically affecting your being by making these choices. And yeah, if we make the right choices, it can actually promote balance and well-being. So I would like to hear if anyone's got any questions, or if you can share your feedback on these energies. Have you had a meal that's left you feeling like really harmonious, or have you watched something that made you feel really positive, or is there something that actually left you feeling really negative? I hear from my clients a lot, like social media often disturbs their state of mind and actually affects their digestion. We see this connection. So I'd love to hear what you guys think.
Siri, I have a question.
Yeah.
Okay, my question is very simple. I like what you have said. You see, today, mental health, depression, stress, this has become a global phenomenon amongst the youth and the aging population. But the average age is increasing day by day, and especially in the youth, it is very different because of different kind of issues they have. So how do you think that Ayurvedic science has overtaken other sciences to solve these problems, which is leading to mental health and depression and whatnot?
It's a really good question, Dr. Yudi. And Ayurveda does have it does have the wisdom, because when we truly know ourselves, when we understand ourselves, we'll know consciously what choices, what the effect of those choices are that we're making. So I'll get into this in a moment around what those body types and those doshas or the temperaments are. But by aligning our choices to our, our constitution, we can actually avoid these things happening. And that's all about how much you understand yourself and how much you know where to draw that balance, if that makes sense. So we'll go into it in a moment. But that's a really good point. Like, I think in today's world, that is one of the reasons that people get overwhelmed. There's a constant scrolling on like Instagram and Twitter, TikTok and things like that. You can't like have that self-control, but by knowing yourself a bit more, you'll be able to consciously make those decisions.
Thank you.
No problem. Anyone else? Any other questions? Okay, if we don't have any more, I'll move on. Okay, so essentially now let's get into the body types. So in Ayurveda, our mind and body constitution is defined through these primary energies known as doshas. Now, first up is Vata, and we'll be discussing Vata, Pitta, and Kapha, and how each of these have their unique characteristics. So understanding your dosha is essential, and this is very important. As Dr. Yudi just highlighted, it's hard to make the decisions that are right for you, right? Without knowing yourself, you don't instinctively know what's actually good for you. So I'm going to talk about teenagers. So for example, if you're a Vata teenager in a very strict environment, or say you're a fiery Pitta-based teenager, trying to fit into a mold that doesn't really understand your drive, be it your parents, teachers, relationships, friends, these mismatches can actually affect our inner nature. And the external pressures can cause the imbalances within your mind, within your gut, and, physically as well. So the beauty of Ayurveda is that it offers these tools to recognize and rectify these imbalances. So you can better manage the stress, you can understand yourself, you can assert yourself, so you can kind of basically stand up for what you are, because it all starts from knowledge, and that's how we can educate everyone around us as well. So Vata is one of those three primary doshas in Ayurveda. It embodies the qualities of ether and air. It's dynamic, governing all movement in the body and mind. So you can think of it as wind, so essential, but sometimes unpredictable. When balanced, it fosters creativity, enthusiasm, and a lively spirit. But when it's out of balance, it can manifest as anxiety, restlessness. Some people constantly have like a restless leg kind of syndrome where you're constantly wanting to fidget. You see that in kids a lot. They're constantly like, agitated, constantly want to move. That's Vata being out of balance. It might manifest as feelings of anxiety, restlessness, or even digestive issues like bloating. Like, think of it like air, like literally causes bloating, causes blockages in the body. And its inherent qualities are dryness and cold. So some hacks that you can use to balance Vata. So it's really important to counteract the effects of that dry and cold nature of Vata with hydration. So stay hydrated. Make sure you're drinking enough water. Now, Ayurveda doesn't say you have to drink 2 liters of water per day, but drinking enough so that you're satiated, you're hydrated is paramount. And one of the key things in Ayurveda is drinking lukewarm water, so room temperature, or warm water if you are suffering from a Vata imbalance, because that's actually more absorbed by your body, so you'll feel more hydrated. And grounding exercises, so counteracting Vata with grounding exercises. I know we all like to hit the gym and we like to stay fit, running. Sometimes this can actually be counteractive to a Vata body type. Vatas need grounding. They need to be, stable. They need to focus on things like meditation to anchor their energy. Child's pose is a good one. Calming things like swimming or like stretching would be a better idea for those that suffer from Vata. And warm foods. So swap all the cold raw foods for something that's warmer. Cooked dishes, don't have raw things like a salad. Rather swap it for something like a comforting soup, steamed veggies. We're basically trying to counteract all the properties of Vata here. So Vata's cold tendencies need to be counteracted. In you know, in your environment, that can also, you know, we spoke about how it can affect your mind. It can cause you know, fatigue, tiredness. It can actually lead you to be having a foggy mind, so your thoughts aren't coming as fast as they should, or you're forgetting things. So things that you can do for that is, you know, diffuse some lavender essential oil or geranium essential oil. There are some flowers that have calming properties. These can be used, applied topically to soothe the mind. They can be diffused. There's certain types of herbal remedies as well. Vijay, you had a question?
Can I add on to what I said before?
Sure.
You see, my loaded question is, everybody talks of hydration of water and all that, and we all know about it. My question is, how to keep your mind hydrated? Your mind is not at all hydrated, number one, and lifestyle. And number three, what I find amongst the youth and senior people, I'm saying the youth because I deal with a lot of young people as students till the graduation level, MBA level, and whatnot. They are full of this. So the question that I'm putting before you, how to keep your mind hydrated all the time so that you are able to lead an absolute disciplined life.
It's a very good question. And I think this comes up quite a lot, like, you know, with teens, and also, yeah, like you mentioned, people at the later stages of life. It's really what we consume, and this is why we spoke about choices. Choices really matter here. So if you're making choices that constantly cause your mind to be restless, you're making choices that are, you know, similar to the nature of Vata. So you're eating cold food, you're staying up late at night, for example. You know, you're overactively, you're thinking too much. You're not having that time for yourself to ground yourself. This is what can lead to you know, the feelings of lack of hydration in the mind. So a way to like do this is obviously like physically you can lubricate your mind, and that's why in Ayurveda there's an emphasis of using oils to hydrate yourself, like literally putting it on your skin can leave us hydrated. You know, we're trying to use all of our you know, six tastes and all of, you know, our physical body to maintain that hydration. So literally, like, you know, massaging your head with warm oil can actually help hydrate the mind. You know, it's little hacks like this that can actually go a long way, but ultimately it's the choices we make, and knowing ourselves can actually help us make those choices. And if you're a teen, you're younger, having those that are our role models, like our parents, you know, even teachers, you know, it's important for them to also understand these things, so that we know that if you're seeing that imbalance occurring, how do we kind of tame that in our children? How do we kind of maintain that balance? I think that's really important. Does that answer your question, Vijay?
No, that was Dr. Yudi.
Sorry, Doctor. Sorry, Vijay. Sorry. Yeah,
Yeah,
you're on.
my input on this mind thing is that the best thing which has worked in my life is meditation and yoga and light exercises. So
Yeah.
I worked on it, and whenever I sit every day for meditation for half an hour, and we do yoga for about half an hour to 1 hour, and then go for a little walk. So all these things are really positive for our mind. It comes once I get up from my meditation. Meditation is nothing but just concentrating your attention on one point only, and just to disconnect yourself from other things. So that and yoga, that has worked a lot. Whenever I come up back from my meditation, I don't want to talk to anybody. If somebody talks to me, I'll just say that, okay, I'll answer you. I'll just skip it. And then maybe after some time I say, yes, you said this means this. So I have seen that if you want to really control your mind, the meditation is I think the best thing which I'll suggest to everybody. It is not an age factor. It is not a thing. Everybody can do meditation. Meditation is nothing but concentrating only on one point and leave everything else for a short period of time. And that works in your life also for any problem. That's all I have.
Siri, I don't
100%.
want to contradict what Vijay has said, but I want to add one thing. You see, I agree with him totally on meditation, but let me tell you honestly, because I'm dealing with the youth so frequently every day, meditation is outside the syllabus of youth, the young people, number one. And I add one more factor, loneliness has become the order of the day at every stage in our life, whether you are young, staying in the hostel, or you're senior people. So these two factors, you see, they think, okay, we know meditation. I can't sit down. I cannot concentrate. So it is not in their curriculum. It's not in their mind. It's all not in their how to promote it. I wish I could answer that question.
Simple, like it's
hey,
a
Siri.
really, hey,
Siri, let me add something.
yes.
But I wanted to just come back to what you said. I think the comments are fair, but you said something which totally resonated. I think we're talking about dehydration of the mind for the youth, or call it the MBA students. I think too many choices is what you said, and I love what you said. Too many choices are causing the mind to get dehydrated. And I get it. Meditation is not something. Forget youth. Even I have a hard time with. It's not something that's so easy. So the point would be if we could just focus, right? I think you said it so well, Siri, which is we need more focused choices and alignment. And if we can just do that, I think that in itself could be meditation for some sort of youth. And I want to make sure we get through the rest of your slides too. So I don't want to take up time, but I'll just let you continue. But you said it really well. I appreciate that. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. And really good discussion there, because absolutely 100% agree. Meditation is 100% important. The reason I didn't go into the hacks as meditation is exactly what you said, Dr. You there, because essentially for youths, it's really hard. I have 2 children and, sometimes Vata goes out of balance. I find meditation can actually be achieved through breathing, because youth actually forget to breathe. They're running a mile. They forget how to breathe. So, a simple meditation can just be breathing. Ground yourself with breathing, ground yourself with, deep breaths, inhale, hold your breath, exhale. These simple things can actually go a long way to just stop that kind of Vata going everywhere. Vata tends to block. So we want to try and increase the flow. So breathing is a perfect way to do that. Meditation can come in different forms as well. So not just necessarily sitting there with your eyes closed, you can actually be creative. Like, so Vata people actually love creativity, music, singing, painting. All of these are forms of meditation. Do what they're passionate at. And Vatas, they're really like, they love to use their mind. They don't like to sit down. They're constantly working. So let's put that to good use. Right now we have a problem. I mean, we're seeing it in Australia a lot in schools. A lot of children have ADHD and autism. I feel this is because their environment's not regulated. They haven't been given the chance to be independent. And so giving them the choice to be independent, let them express themselves, let them, be who they are. And I think that will really help balance the Vata today. I hope that helps. I'll get on to the next body type. So representing the elements of fire and water is Pitta. It's responsible for our body's metabolic processes, digestion, heat regulation. And when in balance, Pitta brings about sharp intellect, clarity, and courage. The fiery nature of Pitta, when it gets out of balance, it can actually manifest as inflammation, skin diseases, so skin eruptions, pimples, hair fall, impatience, bouts of anger, irritability. These are all manifestations of Pitta going out of balance. So some hacks to counteract the heat of a Pitta is to balance yourself by cooling exercises. So going near bodies of water, so either gentle swimming, you know, spending some time out at night with the moon, doing some yoga, doing some meditation, breathing. That will actually, and there's different types of breathing. So Ayurveda goes into many different types of breathing. There's actually cooling breath sequences that can actually help your body regulate the coolness in yourself. So all of these are really good to maintain the balance. Avoiding spicy food, so the choices we make here, so a little spice is nice, so like, you know, things that are like, you know, cumin seeds and coriander, those things are okay, but I'm talking about like really spiced, like chilies and you know, that can aggravate pittas, right? Like so you don't want to have too much spicy food. Opt for milder seasoning and cooling foods, so you might think like a cucumber or watermelons or melons. These things are cooling for our body. So those are the choices you want to make if you're feeling a bit heated. Another thing is mint-based drinks. Rose tea, I didn't mention it on the slide, but rose tea, certain drinks have properties of coolness. Green tea, you know, replacing your excessively hot beverages, even like, you know, your caffeine, alcohol, these are really hot pitta increasing, you know, drinks. So you might want to replace that with a cooler drink on the occasion that you have that imbalance. Walking in nature, so nature walks, immersing yourself in serene, cooling embraces of nature, walking in moonlight, that can be really pacifying for a pitta. And also pittas have a lot of issues with the eyes. So those that complain, those that have in later years, like, you know, cataract surgeries and all that, that's due to pitta being a bit too much in their body. So to combat that and to prevent that from happening, I would recommend cooling eye masks. You know, a lot of pitta people complain of headaches and migraines. So it's really important to maintain that coolness in the mind. And using and in Ayurveda we have a lot of herbal plant-based medicine that can help with that as well. So it's truly about driving that transformation in balance, and when pitta is in balance, right, you see the most productive people, you see leaders, you see people like Sachin, like, you know, driving initiatives. It really allows you to thrive in your pursuits. So let's talk about Kapha. So we've journeyed through Vata, felt the heat of Pitta. Now the stabilizing, nurturing world of Kapha. Kaphas are oriented with the earth. They're grounded, they're moist, self-sustaining, and their energy can sometimes be, you know, a bit too watery, so a bit stagnant. So Kapha's energies require invigoration. So some hacks that they can apply to energize their day. So Kaphas often struggle with food. They love their food. They love, you know, it's hard for them. They're very stubborn, so that it's hard for them to kind of move away from things that they love, and that leads to tendency of, you know, struggling to lose that weight. So they can tend to be a little bit overweight. But that's okay, because you know, the whole concept of kapha is that it's the structure and lubrication of our joints and tissues. So they're really strong physically, mentally. They have the ability to endure. They're grounded. And when kapha's balanced, it actually manifests as love, patience, loyalty. So they're a fantastic friend to have. However, when you have an excess of those elements, so the earth, water, it can lead to feelings of sluggishness and, as I mentioned, some weight gain issues. So I would recommend as a hack, daily short workouts. So these are the people that should be at the gym, you know, incorporating short dynamic workouts, you know, weightlifting, Pilates, yoga, brisk walk in nature, 15 minutes. So faster movement is very good for a kapha. We spoke about mind hydration. So one thing for kaphas to maintain that energy is accumulation, both physically and mentally, can cause them a lot of distress. So regular decluttering, keeping the house clean, keeping it tidy, keeping your room tidy if you're a teenager, right, can create a sense of lightness and rejuvenation in your space and mind. So it can actually manifest internally too. Some spices to incorporate to boost metabolism. So warming spices like ginger, black pepper, cinnamon in your diet. These can ignite your digestive fire, balancing that cool, damp qualities of kapha. And in the morning, so trying to energize your mornings, because when you wake up, a kapha individual waking up has a lot to do with what time you wake up as well. It's very important to start the day with a lot of vigor. Consider activities like dry brushing, so literally brushing your body with a dry body brush can invigorate the cells and help you feel really help the circulation in your blood, drain out the lymphatic system. Warm showers, a few minutes of dancing maybe to favorite music if you're feeling really down, putting on a favorite music track, moving to the rhythm, waken your body basically. And kapha individuals can get really mentally stagnant, and they can feel really stuck sometimes as well. So these are the people that may struggle with depression, may struggle with loneliness. Uplifting affirmations are very important for them. So remind yourself of your strengths, aspirations, and potentially what the day can hold. So just starting the day with tones of like gratitude, like considering all the things that you've been given in life, and having that kind of moment to center on that. So embracing the grounding nature of kapha while ensuring we don't fall into stagnation is key. So with these actionable hacks, you can actually harness the best qualities of kapha. We can, and we touched on Vata, Pitta, Kapha. And the recurring theme really that I want to stress is the choices. And that's why I go back to that. The choices we make, especially regarding our food, and this is where the gut is the second brain. Making choices that can reflect to that is the intimate relationship we share with everything, our meals, driving the life force, and optimizing our vitality, our prana that's within us. I'll stop for any questions. Does anyone have any questions before we move on?
Siri, I've got to leave. I want to make my last point. I've taken a lot of your time. First of all, I appreciate what you put such a complicated thing in a very simple way. Anybody can follow it. But my concern is you're asking for an absolute, total disciplined lifestyle, which is a luxury in the modern environment. How to lead a disciplined life, I think I don't have the answer. And if people could realize that, I think what you have said could be practiced in a very simple way. In a very simple way, all that we are talking is just lead a life of, just exercising and a good diet and a disciplined life. I wish this happens. Thank you once again from my side for a wonderful presentation. And you'll excuse me, I've got to leave. And thank you very much for listening to you. Thank you so much.
No problem, Dr. Yudi. Thank you so much. I really appreciate your comments. And it is about, making those tough choices. Unfortunately, we have to go against ourselves sometimes, our desires. And this is the whole purpose of life, really, to know what's right for us, to be disciplined. Because if we were to do everything out there, this is what leads to diseases. And I think it's a sign for us, especially after COVID, to go back to what's important and help prevent anything from occurring. So genetics, they can only be active if we make the choices that allow them to foster and we bring about harm to our body. So yeah, it is about making those conscious decision making.
Good luck and bye.
Thank you so much. Okay.
Hey Siri,
So,
I've got a question.
hey.
Actually, I've got one question. I'd love to hear your perspective. I mean, obviously you said, during COVID, people are starting to think about leading better lives, and it was more of a grounding moment for a lot of people. What are you noticing in Australia? I mean, we have a US viewership here, but what are you noticing in Australia that you think is really resonating with the generations or the era, if you will, after COVID that you think somebody can take away from this session on?
I think, yeah, it's a really good question, Sumit. What I have noticed is that previously, I think people were very, like, especially in Australia, because we're a bit more, and say backward, but we're a bit slow to adopt change. And I feel like now with what's happened with COVID, people have realized that, you know, the medical system, we can't overload it, you know, and unfortunately, like when we make these bad choices, it is putting strain on the people that are actually going to save our lives. So knowing that has made people more conscious of the being more disciplined. Like Dr. Yuda was saying, like it's hard to be disciplined and totally understand, but this is what drives you to be disciplined, because without that reminder of something like COVID happening, without the reminders of a close one dying from cancer, without reminders of, you know, children, so many children now, like I touched on, that have autism and ADHD at the age of 5 and 6, is a problem in our society because we have too much stimulus, too much choices, and a lack of discipline. So I'm finding that the more people understand this, they are actually adopting a life where they're making this conscious decision making, allowing themselves to feel not just love for themselves, because this science, I find, really helps you to understand yourself, love yourself, really like know who you are, and therefore increases your ability to love and connect with everyone around us as well. So I feel like that's what's really changed, because people don't want to be in a world of COVID. People want to be in a positive environment, and we are trying to strive that balance, you know, find that balance in the world. I feel that's what's happening.
No, great insights. Thank you for sharing that. I think I could resonate even in the US. I think I'm starting to see some of that, but nicely put. I mean, I agree with you. I think that this is all on us and we got to make the change, and it was a moment for us to reflect. So thank you for sharing.
No problem. Thank you. Yeah, and I attended like a talk by Deepak Chopra recently as well, and I mean these people are all talking about the same thing, right? Waking up, or you know, realizing what we're part of, the collective consciousness, you know. Yeah, it's really important, I think. And I'll go on to like the power of food. So the slide that I've got up now. So essentially, you know, our diets, there aren't merely calories and nutrients. We spoke about how it affects our vitality or energy. And every bite can actually affect our physical health and emotional states as well. So when you are looking at choices of food, so we spoke about vatas, like, you know, I think very important to eat those warm, cooked, slightly oily foods, root vegetables, whole grains, nuts are great choices. Soaked nuts are great choices for vatas. If you're pitta oriented, so you might have realized that you're kind of, you know, connect to one of or two of these doshas. It's because we all have a primary dosha and we have a sub dosha as well, which is our second nature. And this is like, we have all three of us within us. Like we have Vata, Pitta, Kapha within us. So you'll say, some of you may say, oh, but I connect to all of them. You can, and that's totally fine. But we look at in Ayurveda, our system of preventative health is looking at what are you primarily, what do you compose of primarily, and treating that. So if you felt, oh, like I'm actually really creative, you know, I have issues with digestion, that's more you. Well, that's probably because you are more Vata inclined. If you are more, you know, you're inclined towards heat, hair fall, you know, issues within you know, dealing with others, you get angry, irritable, then you're probably a pitta oriented person. And if you're intelligent, like look at the positive sides as well, you know, that's probably you too. So looking at kapha, so we touched on pitta foods. Kapha foods are more light and dry in nature. So warm foods, eating lean proteins, leafy greens can really balance a kapha. I won't get into the details because there's a lot to the science. But just to give you a general idea, you know, it's really important to look at dosa-specific tips. And in general, prana is the vital life energy. So it's present in everything, in our food, in, you know, looking at organic produce. It's very important to eat organically. look at eating freshly cooked meals, avoid over-processed and stale foods. Eating seasonally is very important because that has more prana. So making choices that have more prana will actually help us make that decision making. So I know I said self-discipline, but self-discipline comes from what you put in within you as well. So making these choices can help us think better so we don't fall into the same traps again. And our gut brain share this profound connection. So it's known as the gut-brain axis. So the impact has a profound effect on mental clarity and stress levels. So I just wanted to highlight those points. And I'd love to hear from you guys. Like, can you recall a time where you had a specific food and it made you feel like mentally, like how did it feel, you know, how did you feel afterwards, like mentally? Did it make you feel great? Did it make you feel sad? You know, I'd love to hear your thoughts. Let's pull up the chat, sorry. Yeah, watermelon energizes. Yeah, absolutely. Because yeah, the cooling nature of watermelon summer makes you feel great. Absolutely. You see, that's a very Pitta household. That's great. Indian mangoes. Yeah, absolutely. Great, great. No, that's fantastic. And like this is the thing, meat slows you down. Yeah, and it can. Red meat is quite heating in nature, so you might find it slows you down. Fruits in general make you feel good. That's great. Yeah, absolutely. So food has a big effect on our individual selves, you know. And after all, like it's really important to make those you know, connections in our food and also in our relationships, in our friendships, and understanding these doshas can play a big part in that. I think I'll stop there because there's a whole other dynamic that we can go into, which is essentially how these body types can affect our relationships and how it can affect. So I have many slides here that talk about basically your media and like how you know, doshas can affect and the yoga practice or the meditation practice you adopt for yourself, and looking into you know, how you can look at simple things that you can adopt for your self-care. But I think we're at time. Sachin, correct me if I'm wrong, or Sumit, please correct me if I'm wrong, but I feel like, you know, we've had an hour of discussion. I'm happy to take some questions and we could reconvene for a second session.
Yeah, it has been an hour. If maybe you can stop sharing, and then we can have like a discussion to wrap it up. But there is going to be a part two of this guest speaker event, so stay tuned for that. But any questions or comments, anything anyone wants to say before we end off? For Siri, for me, and
Hey, Sachin, I wanted to say this is so awesome that we were able to get Australia and the US together. So thanks to you two. The way you put it together, I thought that was awesome. And it's great to hear similar minds thinking similarly. Sorry, I heard some disturbance. Similar minds thinking similarly. So I think it's fantastic. And thank you, Siri, for making the time, you know, getting into the details of it and also just resonating the same way as we do here in the US.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate you inviting me today. And you know, I just feel like, you know, anyone that's on this mission, like, you know, and you guys have such a beautiful philosophy, and I loved you know, from the moment I saw your website, that beautiful, you know, same kind of mentality of thinking. And I think the more collaboration, the better to kind of unite us around the world of Ayurveda and holistically well-being for everyone, hopefully. Thank you. I
it was
hope you enjoyed the
awesome, awesome
session.
collaboration.
Thank
Anything
you
else
so
that
much.
anyone wants to say?
Yeah, Siri, I did have one question. I was just curious. I think you mentioned warm showers, but how about cold showers? I know that also helps in increasing your brain cells and so forth. So I was just wondering what your thoughts were on that. And then the other thing I wanted to say was just a perspective. My son, he's 13. We're starting to do yoga together. So he has a lot of kapha in the sense, he's becoming a teenager, so he's definitely going through a lot of those changes. But like that's one that I'm finding we're not there yet to where he's starting to really enjoy it. It's still more of a grudging activity that we do together, but hopefully that transformation will happen soon.
Hopefully. Thank you for the question, Amit. Yeah, it's a really good question around like cold showers. I think, it really depends on the individual. So cold showers I wouldn't suggest it for someone that is of a Vata body type. Maybe for a Kapha, depending on the season. But for Pittas, definitely it's a good idea. So this whole idea of ice baths and invigoration and the whole, I know there's a whole movement out there about it. It's not for everyone. And this is the thing with Ayurveda, right? Like this, again, I'll go back to the same like point around choices, because there's so much out there at the moment, so many fad diets, so many like trends and things on social media that, we get caught up in, and we'll try and implement those, but they may not be right for our body type. So again, it comes back to like knowing what's good for you and doing the thing that will help you. So for Vatas, a warm shower. For Kaphas, if you're in a colder season, definitely a warmer shower, because you're colder in nature. You have that, that earthiness, the coldness within you already. For a Pitta, it's a good, idea to do something like an ice bath actually, to help bring that heat down. So yeah, it really depends on the individual. And on your second point, yes, there's so much I can talk about in terms of meditation. There's invigorating meditations. There are things that can really help a Kapha get more into a meditation. They do struggle with thoughts. So it's very important to focus on that deep breathing to bring it to that central point. And also visualization might be something you want to try, because there's so many different types of meditation. So visualizing something may really help them center their concentration.
Wonderful. Thank you for that. Appreciate that. Wish you all the best.
Thank you so much, Amit.
Can I add a little bit on meditation?
Yes, absolutely.
You see, meditation is, sometimes taken as a very in a different way. Meditation to me is sitting under a tree and closing your eyes and watch just the wind touching your skin and just concentrating on that. That is meditation. Sitting on the side of a river and just concentrate on the sound created by the river is meditation. Sitting on a beach and then just not even looking at it, or just watching or hearing the waves coming to that and just thinking about that is meditation. So anything which you do in nature, to me, it looks like that you are sitting in the lap of your mother. So that is meditation to me, when you are not thinking of anything else but something natural. That's all. Thank you.
Siri, I have a question. So really, really good information, and you put it in very simple terms. Thanks for taking the time to do this. Entire family is here, as you know, listening to you.
Thank you.
So my question was, here we are in the United States, and is there there's a lot of information, sometimes it's too much information that we can absorb, and but we need to practice it the right way. So is there any guided sessions or something, like a day or weekend session where people can go and attend it and know what to do, basically?
Yeah, absolutely. Padma, we can have a chat like afterwards. I do offer coaching sessions, and if anyone's interested, I do one-on-one consultations as well. So you can go to my website. I'll just pop it into the chat, and you can book in a session, and we can go through just even if it's like a 10-minute session to understand more about what I do, we can do that. And I do offer coaching sessions and programs. So happy to take more people and spread the word. Thank you for the question. Right.
Okay, Sachin, we should probably wrap up. And then Siri, I'm curious, like what would be something our viewers can look forward to in the next session that you guys are have in mind?
Yeah, so I guess the next question, the next session's about choices we make. So I spoke a lot about food today and what we put inside our body. So the next session's going to be a lot about our external things. So our relationships, looking at, media, and we spoke briefly on those trends on social media. So what we take externally and how that influences our body type as well.
Yeah, stay tuned for that, everyone. And with that being said, I think we can wrap up. If you're watching on YouTube, thanks for watching the video. Make sure to hit the subscribe button. You can also check out 3doshas.com. For the people on the call right now, if you want to reach out to us, I'm going to put our email in the chat. And you can reach out to us whenever you want, and we'll get back to you. And then everybody knows our website. It's just 3doshas.com. Okay. Thanks, everyone. We'll see you guys next time. And we have you on our mailing list. So we'll send out another email and make sure to RSVP. And you'll see Siri and I again. Bye, everyone.
Thank you. Thank you, Sachin and team. Bye.
Great job. Thank you. Bye.
Thank you, guys.